Ready to manifest the money, business, and life of your dreams? Do you wish you had more ease and flow in your business, your finances, your relationships, and everything else? There's a way to manifest simply, easily, and effectively without exhaustion, and I'm here to show you how. Hey there, I'm Elise McDowell, money mindset mentor and seven-figure CEO. And in this podcast, I will teach you how to reshape your money mindset, manifest consistent money, increase your business sales, transform your self-concept, and create the life of your dreams through the power of your mind. I'm here to help you go all in on you so you can go big in everything you're here to do. Let's get into the show. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode. It's been a while. It's been a minute. And I'm going to share why very soon. But today, I'm very excited because I want to talk about what I have learned from doing 30 days of meditating with Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. And I think you're going to be impressed by what I've discovered, what I've learned. And if you're not a meditator yourself, you may actually want to start meditating after you hear this. But before we get into that, I obviously want to share with you where I've been, because you might have been wondering, oh my God, why haven't you posted an episode in forever? And I have a legitimate reason for that. It is because I have been showing up more somewhere else, right? I'm not quitting the podcast, I'm not neglecting it, but obviously when you're committing your time to something, it goes all into that, and I wanted to be fully present to it. And now that I've got kind of a flow with it, I know that I can start returning to my normal scheduling because I can add it in simply. What is it? It's my free Facebook community, the Girls That Manifest community. And I have been showing up in that live for the last couple of weeks, just getting on and chatting to you or chatting to my audience if you're not in the group. And the reason I started doing that is because I really wanted to reconnect back with my audience. I wanted to feel like I was connected to them. You might have heard in many episodes I put up last year on the podcast how much I loved being able to connect with my members inside my membership and how it made me feel fulfilled, how it gave me more meaning in my work. And so when I came into this year and I was planning what I wanted to experience in my business this year, feeling connected with my audience was a big thing. Like it was like my number one thing. I wanted to sort of plug back into you guys and be more present with you rather than removed, right? With the podcast, I love it, but it's just me and a microphone. And then once it's all finished and edited, it just goes up on the interwebs and then anyone can listen to it. But there's no way for me to talk to anyone. There's no way for anyone to comment. There's no way for me to respond in real time, which there is a time and place for. And I have found that right now, it's the time and place is now, right? And the place is inside the Girls That Manifest Facebook community. And it's been so much fun reconnecting back. It's been so much fun seeing so many old faces that I haven't seen in such a long time. And if you have been wanting more from me or more content or to learn more about money, to learn more about mindset, to learn more about manifestation, I highly recommend you come and join this group. It's free to join and watch a lot of the replays, right? I did 2 trainings last week. I did 1 Q&A video this week, and it's just feeling really, really good, right? So that's where I've been. That's where my time has gone. I didn't disappear and vanish completely. I've just been showing up somewhere else. So now that I've got a good flow with that, I can start getting back into a good rhythm with the podcast. But yeah, I highly recommend if you want to hang out with me and talk to me, come and join the group. Okay, it's free. The link is in the show notes below. Now, let's get into talking about meditation. Because I, at the beginning of the year, went and did something kind of crazy, kind of out of character. And I started meditating every day. And the truth is I didn't commit to 30 days. I just decided I'm going to start meditating now to Joe Dispenza's meditations. And the reason I want to talk about this today with you is because I think you may be excited about meditating after you hear this if you're not a meditator, right? But if you are, you may want to start doing Joe Dispenza's meditations, or if you already do Joe Dispenza's meditations, like some of you, I know that you do, you're probably going to agree with everything that I say. But I feel like I've discovered something brand new, but it's been around forever, for thousands of years. So if I manage to convert one person to meditating from this episode, I'll be happy. Okay, so let's get into it. Why I started meditating. What made me suddenly start meditating? Well, at the beginning of the year, I was talking to my mum on the phone, and I was talking to her just, as you talk to your mum about everything, anything, and I was talking to her about like how I just felt like I wanted better. I wanted permanent peace in myself to be able to kind of truly begin to master me, right? I've always been doing this work, but it's like another layer that I wanted to add to it and start doing. And from what I had seen, with a lot of his testimonials on YouTube, is that you can really, really get there. You can totally achieve it and have the long-lasting effects of it, obviously if you continue doing it, right? And then the other two reasons was that I really wanted to master getting into the void. And if you've done his meditations, the void is that place of blackness where you become nothing, no one, nowhere, no time, no space. No place, And in this place, it's just oneness. It's just wholeness. You are one with the universe. You are, what I like to think, is plugged into the quantum field because you are nothing, right? And every time I've gotten there, it's felt incredible. Anything I was worried about, anything I had on my mind, it was just gone. And I just felt immense peace. So I really wanted to master being able to get into the void. And then I really, really want to have a mystical experience. He talks about that as well. Many of his students talk about it, is they have mystical experiences where they see light beings or blue beings. They get transported to different places. They have massive healing experiences. I would love to have one of those. I haven't yet, disclaimer. It's only been 30 days. But I know based on my meditations that I'm getting close. So that's why I started meditating. And I know that a lot of people struggle with meditation, and I definitely did. Building the habit for me, it was interesting. In the past, I felt like I could never do meditation. I felt like 10 minutes was an eternity. I just couldn't sit there. I couldn't do anything because it was just too hard. It was too hard. I couldn't switch my mind off, and I didn't really understand meditation that much. I didn't get the point of it because for me, it was just like, oh, it's just mindfulness. It's just about clearing your thoughts. But Joe's meditations are very, very different. They have mindfulness aspects, but it's about something much, much deeper. It's about coming back home to you, right? So when I started, I wasn't coming in with the mindset or attitude of like, oh, I'll just try it and see how it goes. Like, I'm going to do an experiment. For me, it was like, I've tried a lot of things, right? I've tried a lot of things, and I really want to master this particular aspect of myself. So to me, it's sort of like, this is the only option. This is the only option I can find right now that I haven't tried. So I'm going all in. And for me, something just switched. It was like the day before, I wasn't a meditator. I'd only done a couple of his meditations sporadically throughout the years. To the next day where it was like, I am now a devout meditator. And I literally was. The first day I meditated for about 4 hours. The next day, I think it was around about 3. And I was consistently meditating for like 2 to 4 hours every day. Now, on days that I was really busy, like if I had a lot on, I would maybe be able to meditate for an hour. But I was putting in the hours every single day. And since I work for myself from home and I have a very flexible schedule, it was very easy for me to do that amount of meditation, right? But I put everything into it. I was like, no, if I really want this to work, I'm putting everything into it. I am deciding that this is going to work. I'm deciding that this is going to be a revelation for me after 30 days. Well, actually, I didn't plan to do 30 days. It was just, I'm doing this now. This is me. I'm a meditator. But I knew that eventually I would start looking back to see the results and see how much I'd changed. And so once I got to 30 days, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a podcast episode about it. Now, you might be wondering, which meditations did I do? I pretty much stuck to the same 4 meditations, which is blessing of the energy centers, tuning into new potentials, changing boxes, and time, space, space-time. And I stuck with those because I liked them. I tried all of them at least once, and then I stuck to the ones that I really enjoyed. For me, blessing of the energy centers and tuning into new potentials were sort of like the front runners. They're the ones I do and default to most of the time. But now that we're further on, I've been doing more the changing boxes and time, space, time meditation, which is, it's interesting, like you move and flow between the different ones, but you tend to circle back to the same ones, right? And so how my meditating looked across the 30 days is pretty much for the first 2 days, two or 3 days, it was just bliss. It was absolute bliss. Every meditation transformed me. I was a different person. Every time I opened my eyes after sitting down in meditation for 2, 3, 4 hours, I would open my eyes and I would be a different person. I would feel different. I would feel so calm. I wouldn't feel anxious. I wouldn't feel worried. I was able to go straight into the void in those meditations. And to me, I was like, oh my God, this is actually really easy. And then after those first couple of days, it was like, nope, doors have closed. Couldn't access the void. My mind wouldn't shut up. It was like just chaos. It was a riot. It was just chatter. And every time I was trying to go into the void, I was more imagining it and not surrendering to it. And so this is what Joe Dispenza talks about, where he says, like, no meditation is a bad meditation, right? If you're sitting down to meditate, no matter how crap it feels, no matter how much you don't feel like it's working or you're doing anything, it's not bad. It's good. And when it's hard, it matters the most, right? And so pretty much for that week, it was really hard. It was really hard for me to just settle, really hard for me to just surrender to it. But I still showed up every day. I still made sure that I was doing these meditations. I was like, I know that it doesn't matter how I'm experiencing it in the moment. I know that my work is compounding, right? And I think having a great attitude about it as you do it is really important. Week 3, I was consistently meditating up to 4 hours a day. And the more flat or more anxious I felt, or more uncertain I felt, or more just off I felt, the more I would meditate. So if I woke up, let's say it was my time of the month and I really wasn't feeling great, or maybe it was the week before and I was just like on an emotional roller coaster, I would sit down and meditate for hours until I felt better, or even just marginally better, right? Because sometimes in the meditations, you get up and you feel exactly the same. And then some you feel radically different. And then some you just feel a little bit better, right? It all works. It's all adding up. And then on the last week of meditating, I found that I was very settled in it. I felt like there were things about it that I was discovering that I didn't get for the first couple of weeks. And I'm going to talk about those as we go on. But for me, it was just like, this is it. This to me is really, really changing me. I can really feel it. I notice different things that are happening. Again, I'll talk about those. But it reminds me of Gabrielle Bernstein's book, Spirit Junkie. I read this book years ago, and I remember her talking about meditation and how for her, meditating was about overcoming everything for her, overcoming her addiction, overcoming her loneliness, overcoming her insecurity, overcoming her desperation for relationship. For her, that's what meditation did. And I remember back then thinking, why? Like, how does it do that? I don't get it. I was like early 20s at this time. But there's a part in it where she talks about how spirit became her boyfriend, and basically her meditation pillow became like her place of safety, her sanctuary. No matter what was going on in the world, she would sit down and meditate, and it would radically change her experience. And she wouldn't get up. Like, she would sit there for hours and just meditate. And like some of the things she said that she got from meditation was all these things that I was looking for, that I wanted, that a lot of us look for. A lot of us look for in the things we want to manifest, or in the people that we want to be with or hang around. And you could get all of that in meditation. And so I was starting to understand these things in the last week more and more, of like why this is so important, why meditation is amazing. But before we jump into that, I want to talk about the specific meditations and just why I love them, right? Blessing of the Energy Centers. This is the most popular meditation. There's many different versions of them. I mostly did the first one. I sometimes do the fourth one, but for me, the first one is enough. And initially, when I started doing it, I was like, I don't get it. Like, what does this have to do with creating the life I want? Because I really wanted to focus on thoughts and stuff, but this was focusing on, the different energy centers or chakras, if you know them that way. And for a long time, I didn't get it. I was like, this is boring. Like, this is more just like a body scan meditation. I want to get to the manifesting meditations. And then in that last week, something clicked for me, and I realized why this meditation is the most popular one. And this meditation is the one that gives Joe's students so much healing, right? Because, his whole focus is mostly on healing, right? And many of his students have healed cancer, like it's completely eradicated, grown back their thyroid. They have healed terminal illness, like completely overcome these very scary things, very scary health conditions, to be completely healed. And for me, I finally got why Blessing of the Energy Centers was the meditation that was helping people with that the most, right? And it's because you are blessing each center, right? Blessing each center in your body. And when you are doing that in the meditation, he's getting you to infuse energy, new energy that is centralized around wholeness, love, balance, coherence, order, that's focused around infusing the lighter energies into each center, right? And you're sending them love, you're feeling it, you're trying to feel the center, and you're really focusing your attention, directing your energy into that center at the time that you're focusing on it, right? And I realized, oh my God, you're basically giving your body, your cells, your DNA an upgrade when you do this, because our energy is so powerful. That our frequency, the waves that we emit out, have massive power. They can draw to us the things that we want from the invisible into the visible. So imagine when you're directing that energy into your own body, into the specific centers that work with your body, what that will do. And so once that clicked for me, I was like, oh my God, this is my favorite meditation, because through this, I can create anything. This is basically creating the most healthy, happy, whole version of myself through my energy, through my direction of intention into my body. And when that clicked for me, suddenly that meditation became so easy, and I became happy to do it. I was excited to do it because it meant I got to spend time directing my energy, new, whole, loving energy into all of the cells, into every part of my body, and make it whole, make it healthy, make it happy, right? And that's what made me fall in love with Blessing the Energy Centers. When I first started meditating, I mostly did the Tuning into New Potentials meditation, which was about manifesting, basically calling in your desired reality or desired things that you want from the field of potential, which is the quantum field, pulling it into your reality. But in the meditation, the first thing he gets you to do is have like a convergent divergent focus to get your mind focused rather than letting it run wild. And then there's a section where you move into the void, right? And I loved this because you get to go into the void and get to become nothing and get to just leave the human version of you and go with your consciousness into the quantum field and just go and be with God, right? You've heard me say it like that. You're going to be with God when you go to the quantum field. And that felt amazing to me. And then to come back from that and go straight into drawing in the potential that you want, the desire that you want, it was amazing. And I really, really loved that meditation. And from there, I started doing the time, space, time meditation, which is an hour long. It's a really long meditation. But for me, it included the breath, right? And New Potentials has the breath, but I didn't realize this because it's a separate file. So I started doing the breath inside time, space, time. And that was like a whole new experience. That was like elevating my energy even more before the meditation. So what you do in the breath is you're essentially trying to milk your spinal cord because you're squeezing each center as you breathe in, and you're trying to push the fluid in your spinal cord up into your head to basically tap into or rub on your pineal gland. And the pineal gland is responsible for the mystical experiences, which is why I wanted to do the breath. So I began doing the breath, and I had some issues with it at first because I was like pushing and squeezing too hard, and so my head would hurt. So I just relax on that and start doing a more controlled breath and getting that fluid up into my head. And as you know, I haven't had a mystical experience yet. However, what I've noticed is that the more that I'm doing this, is that the more I'm getting really tingling sensations going up my neck. And so I know I'm starting to see movement. I'm starting to have things happen. So the more that I do it, I know I'm going to have that mystical experience. I know I'm going to pop. And when I do, I'm going to tell you all about it. But until then, time, space, space, time is a really lovely meditation. I find that you can settle into it really easily because you're spending a huge amount of time in the void. And for me, when I was having particularly rough emotional days, I would do this meditation because I just wanted to go be in the void. I was like, I don't want to deal with this, which could be looked at as like running away from how you're feeling. But when it's something that you know and like you've investigated it, you've looked at it, you've done the work for it in the 3D, you're like, all right, now let's go fix this up in the 5D because we've done everything we can in the 3D. So that's sort of how I was looking at it. And I would go into the 5D and just bliss out there, right? Bliss out. And then when I would come back, often I would just feel radically different. I would feel so peaceful. I would feel so good, so calm. And all of that anxiety or fear or doubt or worry or whatever I was feeling at the time would be gone. 1 hour and it's gone, right? And so that's why I think time, space, space, time is my favorite meditation. And the next one that I loved doing or started doing was only more in the last couple of weeks was the changing boxes meditation. And it's a short one, so only 20 minutes. So I do this if I don't have much time. And I found it really good because what you're doing is you're changing into a different dimension, right? You're in a current box, the current box of your current reality, and then you're choosing a different box where the problem you have doesn't exist, right? And you're going into it, you're drawing it to your body or drawing your body to it, I should say. And it's just it's a cool way to visualize and experience a different outcome that you want to have in your physical reality, right? A huge part of these meditations is about like going into the void and really settling in it. But another big part of the meditations is activating your heart. Going into your heart space and learning to open your heart more, open your energy. And you've heard me talk about this many times as how your heart is the magnet. Your heart is what draws the things to you. And when your heart is closed, it's hard. Doesn't mean you can't draw things to you, but it feels harder. And when it's open, when it is soft, when it is radiating, right? It's a very powerful magnet. And so when your heart is activated and open, you are drawing things to you so powerfully through that energy field that your heart has, the magnetic field that your heart has, and then your own energy field around your own body. When you can work on these things and you can elevate them and get them really strong and potent, you become a master manifester. You can draw things to you so quickly because you are literally a magnet. You're literally a magnet. And so for me, opening my heart has always been easy. I've been able to do it since 2020 when I started doing my daily practice with scripting, right? I was able to access the experience of opening my heart. And so now, moving into meditation, it's a different medium. So I've been exploring opening it through different ways without the written word, right? And so at first it was a bit of a challenge. I was like, how do I do this if I'm not physically writing? Because for me, that was like my pathway there. So how do I do this in meditation when I'm only engaged in thought and I'm just sitting here? So for me, it was like practice different things, like moving into different experiences, creating different feelings within to open it. And I found that the more that I did it, the more that it started opening, right? And the more, like, it's very easy to tell when your heart is opening because it starts to feel really good. You feel amazing. You feel really loving feelings and it just feels all warm and lovely. You'll know, okay? You'll know because you'll feel it in your chest. But that is one of the important things of the meditations as well. It seems like a lot, but when you really focus on them and focus on learning on why you do what you do in the meditations and listen to his explainer audios before you do them, it starts to make a lot of sense. So that is what I have been doing for meditating for 30 days. Now let's talk about the benefits and challenges. I want to start with the challenges because I want to end with the benefits because the benefits are really good. So there are challenges with meditating, as with anything, right? When you're trying to build a habit. Initially, your mind's going to run wild. It's going to run like crazy. You're not going to be able to switch off your thoughts all the time. And so for me, what I found is that I had to make sure I meditated at specific times so that I could try to avoid this, right? And you want to meditate when your mind is more calm, when your energy is more calm. So for me, it was either first thing in the morning or in the evening right before I'm going to sleep. Sometimes during the day, I can do it, no problem. It depends on what I've been doing. If I've been busy, I usually can't switch my mind off. But if I've been having a pretty calm day, a pretty chilled out day, I can meditate no problem during the day. So for me, it was the specific times that would help me access the void a lot easier and quiet the thoughts a lot easier, depending on what time of day I meditated. Another challenge is the old version of you is going to fight back. So the old you who dominantly experienced a set of, emotions, thoughts, and feelings. Let's say you've been living in lack for a very long time and this is trained into you. It's ingrained. You're military grade level lack focused, right? That version of you is going to fight you. And it's okay. This is normal. This is you trying to heal, right? But your character will fight back. And it might have things like berating thoughts, right? Who are you? Why do you think you can do this? Just nasty thoughts, mean thoughts. You may have things coming up from the past, memories from the past that are so random you haven't thought about in years. They're coming up. But I want you to understand, when you're doing meditation, especially if you're doing blessing of the energy centers, you're cleaning out those centers. You're literally clearing them of clutter. And so this is part of the purge. It's going to happen. It's okay. People even get sick from doing the meditations because they're clearing out so much stuff, right? This is all part of it. The only thing that you need to do in this case is keep meditating, right? The old version will have pushback, but eventually it will succumb to the new version of you that you are practicing consistently in your meditation. It's just like when you're trying to change the behavior of a toddler, right? Say they're acting up and you're wanting to reroute their behavior and start teaching them a different way to, regulate their emotions. There will be pushback at first. Well, with any age, for any child, there's going to be pushback. And then eventually they get into line. They start to follow it. It's the same with you, okay? The point is to keep going, keep meditating. Don't stop and don't let it take over. Just keep meditating. For me, it was always defaulting back into meditation anytime all of this shit would come up. I always knew, no matter what, if I'm feeling bad, all I know is that I go into meditation, I'm going to feel a lot better. So for me, it was just that cycle, keep on doing that cycle, and I knew that I would be okay. Another challenge is falling asleep. So this obviously depends on when you're doing the meditation. If you're doing it right before you go to sleep, you have a significant danger of falling asleep while you're doing your meditation. And I found that for me, I had to make sure to do my meditations out in my living room, sitting up, right? So I sit up on my couch and I'm kind of lying back, but not to the point where I'm lying down. Because every time I lie down, my body is like, well, we're going to sleep. So I know to make sure to sit up and not do my meditation right as I'm about to go to sleep, or if I'm really tired, right? Another challenge is it can take a lot of time to do these meditations, right? If you've got a lot on during your day, you're obviously not going to be able to dedicate 4 hours a day to meditate. Not that you have to. You do not have to do 4 hours of meditation. 10 minutes is enough. 10 minutes is a great start. I think 20 minutes is the sweet spot where things can really, really start moving. But starting with 10 minutes can make a huge difference. For me, because I have so much time and because I work for myself and can do it right now, I'm meditating a lot, but that doesn't mean you have to. Another challenge that I found, which I noticed this more towards the end of the 30 days, was that I found that I was trying too hard a lot in the meditations, trying to achieve the outcome, trying to achieve the result, achieve the pop, right? Achieve the mystical experience, or achieve getting into the void, or tapping into the pineal gland. But what I found is that the more that I was trying to do it, the less I could be in the meditation, because I was more focused on trying to hit the objective, and meditation is about surrender. And so I had to really step back and go, okay, we can't just be doing this to try and get something, to achieve a result. We really have to just surrender to the experience and let yourself be wrapped in the love and oneness, right? This is a flow-based activity. It's not a force-based activity. You can't force yourself into the void. You can't will yourself into a mystical experience. You have to surrender in order to allow it to happen, right? Your energy has to be calm. You have to be relaxed in order to do it. So I really had to just chill on that, and chill on trying to hit a specific result, and instead come into the meditations of just basically wanting to feel better, wanting to feel even just a little bit better than I was, or just have a nice experience, like calm myself, put myself into a better space. Even if I was feeling fine, just putting myself into a good space. That's what I had to focus on instead of trying so hard. And when I found that I did that, I started being able to get back into the void again. And that's when I started having like the tingling sensations going up my neck as I was doing the breath, right? So it's when you let go of trying so hard, that's when things can start moving. Because when you're trying, you're resisting, right? It's resistance. There's pushback. So you have to surrender. You have to allow it. Okay, now let's move into the benefits. There are so many good benefits. The first benefit, which I think is the most important, is that you feel good more often. The more you meditate, the more you feel good, and the more that it lasts, right? The more it lasts. If you have been consistently living in fear or anxiety or doubt, what you will find is that the more you meditate, the harder or slower it is for you to go back into anxiety. And so this is what I found. I remember waking up one day, and usually I'm fine, but if I've got a lot on for the day, I start to feel immediately anxious. I'm like, oh God, I've got to do this. I've got to get that done. I've got to make sure I do this by this time. And I just feel, it's like frantic energy. It's like, oh God, I've got so much on today. And this particular day I woke up, and the night before when I went to sleep, I was feeling anxious about it. I was like, God, it's a big day tomorrow. I've got to make sure I'm like up early, bright and bushy-tailed. We've got to get this done. And I woke up. I'd done a meditation before I'd gone to sleep, and I woke up, and I remember trying to look for the anxiety. I remember trying to think, okay, we've got a lot on. I should be anxious. And it just wouldn't come. It wouldn't come. I was like, wait, shouldn't I be like feeling a little bit frantic now because I've got a big day on? This is usually how we do it. And it just wouldn't come. It wouldn't come. I was just like, I feel amazing. I know I can do all this stuff really quickly. What am I worrying about? And for, I think it was about 2-3 days, I felt amazing. I couldn't go back into the fear. I couldn't go back into the worry. No matter what I was like doing with my thoughts, I was like thinking, shouldn't I be worried about this? No, it wasn't happening. I couldn't go back to it. And I realized it's the meditations. So the meditations, the more that you do it, the more consistently you are going to feel good. And to me, that's worth it alone. Forget the other stuff. This is the number one thing that I think you should do meditation for. Because that experience where you don't worry anymore, when you're not going into those trained, lower emotional experiences, because you've been meditating, because your default is now raising, that's worth it. And so with feeling good more often, I have been feeling more loving, more whole, more complete, more connected. Negative thinking and feeling dissipates. It does come back if you stop meditating though, just so you know, it does come back. I have more of a balanced mood, and I can see more possibilities. It's like my set point for how I feel has had an upgrade. And I think that is worth it for just that alone. But another benefit is that you start to trust that everything is working out for you, that God has got your side, the universe has got your side, the quantum field's working for you. You trust and you know that it is all working, right? You know that miraculous things are occurring, and that can only come with you going into the void, right? Because when you go into the void, you are with God. You are in that oneness, that experience of just wholeness. So you are fully carried in this experience. And I always say, like, when you go into the void, to me, it's like your consciousness has gone. It's left the body. It's now in that void of nothingness. And so your body is able to get upgrades and new coding because you're not inhabiting it anymore. And so when you come back into your body, you're feeling different, you're feeling good. It's because you got an upgrade because your consciousness was gone from it. So the divine came in and infiltrated all the good juju because you, the human self, weren't resisting it, right? And so when you're spending so much time in the void, it creates trust and knowing. And even though you can't explain why or how you know that big things are about to happen or something massive is going to occur for you, or you're literally a match to the things you want to manifest and they're about to arrive or they're here now, you can experience them now. Even though you can't explain it, you know it's happening. You know it's done because you've been at the source. You've been hanging out at the source every day. And so I found this to be huge. When I was coming out of my meditations, I was like, why do I know something bigger is about to happen? Why do I know that something that hasn't been working for years is suddenly going to work, and then it starts working? Why do I know that I'm going to make this much money and have this many sales and this many students this month, which happened in January? And I even knew who was going to sign up. How did I know that? How did I know that? What the hell was different from the month before to now? How do I suddenly know? How do I suddenly trust? How, even though I can't see how, do I know it's going to happen? Oh, because I've been meditating and I've been in the void the whole fucking time. That is why. That is a huge benefit. To me, that's like amazing in terms of being able to manifest. It's that you know it's going to happen. And often you can decide how it's going to happen. I say predict, but then I'm like, no, you're deciding that this is happening. You're deciding what occurs. And you know it's done because you've been in the void the whole time. To me, it's like, oh, that's amazing. Another benefit is you are complete, right? You are whole. You literally feel whole and complete. With manifesting, there is like this sort of, I don't know, side effect where you're often coming from lack. You are in the 3D and you're like, I want this amount of money. And the reason I want it is because I don't have it, right? I don't have it. And if you're coming from a super lackful place, you're naturally going to be embarking on this journey completely from lack. So trying to move from lack into feeling abundant, it's work, but it works. You can do it, absolutely. But it's more work. But when you come into the space of wholeness and feeling complete and feeling like nothing is missing, you stop wanting anything, right? You don't need anything. You don't want anything. And I'm not saying that in the sense that suddenly you don't have a desire for anything anymore and you're not going to manifest anything. No. You don't want anything. You're not attached to anything because you are complete. Now, what that means is that anything in the 3D you know isn't bigger than you. You know isn't going to complete you, isn't going to fulfill you. Therefore, you don't have to attach any meaning to it. You can just have it because you want it. Because it's an experience. It's something fun to do in the 3D because you're already whole. You're already complete. Nothing is missing. Do you see what I mean? Like nothing is missing from you. You're already fulfilled in everything you want to be fulfilled in. You're already there. And so the 3D is just a game. It's just a playground. That's how incredible meditating can make you feel. But that's the experience it can create for you too. You don't become dependent on needing any one thing to fulfill you or make you feel good because you're already there. And now you can manifest these things because you're not attached to them so much. You're not making them bigger than you. You're not putting them on a pedestal because you're like, nothing's on a pedestal. I am the pedestal. What are you talking about? And it manifests so much faster. It even like, you don't need to feel any specific way. You don't need to feel happy. You don't need to feel safe. You don't need to feel secure. You don't need to feel loved to make you feel complete. And I'm talking about any of that from the 3D. You don't need to feel safe in the 3D. You don't need to feel secure in the 3D. You don't need any of that because you already have that. You already are fulfilled in yourself, right? So you naturally don't want anything, but therefore you get everything because you're not attached to it. You're not operating in the 3D anymore. You're not operating by 3D rules anymore. You are in the 5D. And this is what I talked about in my last episode, is that you walk between two worlds, but you're more leaning into the 5D. You're still tethered to the 5D, but you're walking in the 3D. And that's why, because you're already complete in the 3D. And so the 3D has to give you everything because you're complete. Right? This is why I think you should do meditation. If you're not convinced now, I don't know what the hell's going to convince you. Another benefit is that things suddenly start getting fixed, right? Things start working out. Things that you could not solve on your own start working out. Like there was a day where I was meeting my friend for a walk and she is always late, always late. And it pisses me off so much. And I haven't worked on changing that, like how we can recreate experiences and recreate how we see people. I haven't worked on that, but I was so pissed off. I just went on the walk by myself and I was like saying to myself, like this always happens. Like, why does it always happen? I'm so annoyed. Like, why did I bother coming here? And then I was like, well, it's a nice walk anyway. So it's fine that you're walking here. But then I was like, no. Let's just drop this. When we go home, we'll meditate and we'll just clear it all out and we'll feel good. It'll be absolutely fine. And I felt better just by knowing that I was going to meditate on it and I was going to clear it all out, go to the void, go hang out with God, and everything was going to be okay. Next, literally the next minute, who do I see walking towards me but my friend? And she's like, where the hell were you? I was waiting for you at this place. And I was like, I was waiting for you at this place. And we realized we were waiting on opposite sides of the damn building we agreed to meet at. All right? So we both felt foolish. I felt foolish. And then we had a really amazing walk. And we had a longer walk and then we got a coffee. So it was like things start working out for you, even when everything doesn't feel like it's going to work out. Even when it looks like it's been like this for years. It's been like this for months. It's not going to change anything. Like in January, I had my highest earning month that I've had compared to any month in 2024. And the difference with this month is that I wasn't working much, right? I wasn't working much because I was on holiday. And so for me, I was like, well, I don't see how I'm going to make more money when I'm not working that much and everyone's kind of off. They're off doing their own thing. They're on holiday too. But I meditated and I kept experiencing wholeness, fulfillment, completion, satisfaction. And in my potentials, I would just see myself with the amount of money that I wanted. And guess what happened? I had my highest earning month. I hit the goal. I hit the goal with ease. And I was like, how the fuck did that happen? How is that different from the month before? Because I'm meditating, right? Things get fixed for you through meditation. And it's all because you're in the void, right? Another benefit of meditation is it becomes your happy place. And so this is what I remembered about Gabrielle Bernstein talking about. It's like it became her happy place. It became her place to hang out, her default, anything she was going through, she was thinking about, wondering about, she would meditate no matter what. And it changed so much for her. It brought her everything she wanted from the 3D. It brought her from within. So she wanted comfort, she wanted security, she wanted to stop feeling lonely, she wanted to feel one, she wanted to feel loved. She got it all from within. From within herself, she got it all through meditation, right? And I think it's because you were deeply connected to God in it. You were connected to the void. So you get everything that you want in there. Everything. Nothing in the 3D matters because it's not going to fulfill you. It's all empty. It's empty space anyway. The only thing that fulfills you is you. And she said that she had found it. She the thing that she had been looking for. And there's a part in here where she says, This was a love I'd never known before. I'd become full with inner peace. Since I was no longer searching for love and fulfillment in a romantic partner, I was able to let men off the hook. And because I no longer expected my parents or friends to save me, I could let them off the hook now too. And I could enjoy my relationships for exactly what they were at any given time. I was able to release my major expectations and allow people to be the best they could. I was full of spirit and complete, right? She found it. And this is what I mean about the wholeness and completion. She found it. It becomes your happy place. It becomes the place that is amazing to hang out, but it permeates into your 3D experiences. It starts changing the interactions you are having with people. It starts changing the results that are showing up. It starts changing what is happening. It starts changing what was not working before and now is. It starts changing everything because it is permeating out of you. Because what? No one to change but self. When you change, the 3D changes. And so when you're in meditation, you're changing at a cellular level. You are changing the cells. You are changing your DNA. You are encoding new energy, new frequencies into your body. And therefore, it has to change everything that's showing up in the 3D because you're operating differently. Do you see how powerful meditation is? Do you see now? Does it make you want to meditate? I hope it does. All right, my beautiful friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I have had so much fun talking about meditation. I hope you are now interested in meditating and doing Dr. Joe's meditations. If not, you can do mine. I have a couple of meditation albums. I'll link them in the description box below. But other than that, I also have a brand new workshop coming out called Millionaire Energetics. And in this workshop, I am teaching you how to basically lighten the fuck up in your energy and how to expand yourself into higher and higher levels of money, of overflow, of wealth, and inevitably into millions. And meditation has helped me a lot with that, but also doing energy work, specifically energy work in order to elevate my vibration has been huge in that. And that's why I have a 7-figure business now. That's why I've been able to achieve results that didn't look possible, that others haven't been able to achieve through energy work, because energy truly carries you. And I've been seeing this with the comparison to meditation and doing the energy work, how it all elevates you, right? So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, I encourage you to head to the link in the description box below to learn exactly what you're going to learn in it, because it's a live 5-day workshop that starts next week on Monday. And right now, it's 80% off. The pre-sale is 80% off. Once the actual date gets here, it will increase to full price. So I highly recommend you join while the pre-sale is running at 80% off. The link to that is in the description box below. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to come over to the Girls That Manifest community and share your feedback, share your meditation experiences. I would love to hear it, especially if you're meditating with Joe. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and leave a review, and I will see you in the next episode.